Hello crocheters, welcome to Crazy Cool Crochet, and today we're working on this really cool pillow cover, and I am using this particular yarn from Loops and Threads called Barcelona. It's a number 5, which makes it a bulky, and the color is Arctic, so you can see there. Now I specifically chose this yarn because it is, first of all, because it is a number 5, it works up really fast. And this happens to be quite soft. So for a pillow, this is absolute perfection. Now, what sets this pillow off from others, the cover, is the envelope type flap in the front, and of course the tassels make it really fun. Also, excuse me, we are using an eye hook or a 5.5 millimeter. Okay, so I am deviating a little bit from my typical tutorial routine, and I wanted to bring you this project. I want to bring a message to those of you who sell your finished products at craft fairs, church bazaars, that kind of thing. Because I hear so many of you asking constantly, it's like, okay, I'm going to set up a booth. What should I sell? What sells the best? I need some ideas. So this idea, I think, lends itself perfectly for selling at a craft fair. Now, this is my latest pillow, and it looks massive in this video, but it's just a typical 18 by 18. It fits on a couch or a bed, whatever. But the reason I think this is so perfect to sell at craft fairs is because, first of all, you can flip this over and you can remove the pillow. Okay, so that's something a little bit different. So that when you're at a craft fair, you can make up, you don't have to have a whole bunch of these with the pillow in it. You just need 1 or 2 with the pillow inserted to show, and then have just the pillow covers sitting off to the side. You can do these, of course, in various color combinations or different yarns. This one is the number 5 bulky. Your customers can come along and see what you've got. This is different from the usual scarves and hats and scrubbies. This is going to draw people to your booth because it's cool. It's really cute. Okay, and of course, if the tassels are too big or too long, you can adjust those. You can do fringe even instead of the tassels. That's a different look altogether. And of course, with the different colors, different types of yarn, you can achieve all different kinds of looks. But as someone comes along and they see, you know, they are flipping through your covers and they see something they like, you can just, you know, real quick say, hey, let's see how that looks. Pull out the pillow that you've got in there, insert the one on the one that they like, and they can actually see it in person. And, you know, that I think is going to make a big difference in sales. So I just wanted to bring your attention to that. I forgot to mention, you can get little pillow inserts from Walmart. In the craft section, I got this one. Again, it's much smaller than it looks on the video. I think this is like a 12 by 12. And it was like $3, $4. So you can have 1 or 2 of these on hand and, you know, bring it out, show your customers. Like, you can just grab one of these from Walmart, and that'll be a really great selling point, I think, letting them know that they don't have to go out and buy an expensive pillow insert. You can just get something simple like this. So do have, you know, maybe one of these on hand, or use this for your insert. You can make up different sizes, as you'll see in the tutorial, very easily. So there you go, another selling point. Okay, before we get started, I wanted to show you one of the panels, and we do need 2 identical panels for the front and the back, and then we'll work on the flap. We are going to get started, and this is so easy. It's using simple single crochets, and we start with a chain of 47. And I always leave a little white box up at the top that will take you to the beginner tutorials, the beginner videos that will show you how to get started with the foundation chains, with single crochet, and the other basic stitches. Okay, so go ahead and do 47 chains, and then we'll continue. Okay, once you get your 47 chains, we will start our single crochets in the second chain from the hook. So there's the first, there's the second. Insert your hook, pull the yarn through, 2 loops on the hook, pull the yarn through both loops, and that's a single crochet. It's as simple as that. Okay, insert into the next chain, bring the yarn through the chain, 2 loops on the hook, bring the yarn through both loops, and we will be working in each chain, 1 single crochet. When you get to the end of the row, you will have 46 single crochets. And that will be the pattern for the entire panel. It's as easy as that. We will work for 49 total rows. And that is for an 18 by 18 pillow. Now, if you use a different size yarn, if you're not using the number 5 bulky, let's say you go with the number 4, a worsted weight, then you will have to change the number of rows, of course. Just make sure that your measurement, if you're doing it for an 18 by 18 pillow, your chain should be roughly 18 inches long. And the height should be also 18 inches. And of course, if you want to make a 16 by 16 pillow, this will adjust to pretty much any size. It's because it's just, simple single crochets. So just measure the pillow, make your chain as long as you need, and do as many rows as you need to fit your particular pillow. When you get to the end of that first row, you entered your single crochet in the last chain, chain 1, turn, and now we are going to enter the first single crochet in the next row in the first space, right in there. And then the next single crochet in the next space, and it's the same all the way down the row. So when you get to the end of your row, make sure that you're counting your single crochets and that you're at 46. Okay, so you start counting with the actual single crochet, not with the turning chain. Okay, so just count the crochets, the single crochets. When you get to the end, chain 1, turn, continue this for the entire panel. When you get to the end of the last row, just tie it off and cut the yarn. For the flap, we are going to start with a chain of 2. And we are going to enter 1 single crochet in that second chain from the hook, chain 1, turn. Now we are going to enter 2 single crochets in the single crochet below, chain 1, turn. Now we will enter 2 single crochets in that first space, 2 in the same space, and then 2 in the next space. So we are creating our increases on each end. Chain 1, turn. Now 2 single crochets in the first space, 1 in the next, because our increases are on the ends. 1 in the next, and then 2 in the last. You can see how you're forming that triangle. So it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So you had 2, then you had 4, then you had 6. So you're increasing by 1 on each end. Okay, so it's 2 in the first, 1 in each of the center spaces, and 2 on the last, on the end. One, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So you're increasing by 2 on each row, 1 on each end. So just continue in that same pattern. All right, so you would have continued in that pattern, increasing 1 on each end until you got to row 18. On row 18, you would have been at 34 single crochets with your increases on each side. Now on this next row, row 19, you will stay with that same count of 34. And then on the next row, row 20, you would do your increases on each side again, which would bring you to 36. On the next row, 21, you would stay with the same count of 36. So now what you're doing is doing your increases on the ends every other row, not every row. So you will continue that until you get to row 30. On row 30, you would do your increases. You're over here. And now you're at 46 single crochets. So for row 30, 31, 32, and 33, you will be at 46. Okay, so again, on row 30, you would have done your increases on the ends. That would have gotten you to 46. Then the next row, 31, you would stay with the 46. Row 32, stay with the 46. Row 33, stay with the 46. So you did 4 rows at 46. And then you'll be done with your triangle. And you will go ahead and tie it off, cut it off, leave a tail. I like to do another single crochet and then pull it tight to get a knot, and that will secure it. And then we'll come back and we'll put the panels together and finish it off with the tassels. Okay, now we are going to attach the flap, for lack of a better word, to the back panel. And you want right sides facing each other, right sides touching. And the right side of the back panel will have the starting chain, the tail is to the left. So generally speaking, that's usually the right side. Just match up the panels at the top. Take a length of yarn onto your tapestry needle, and we will attach, starting on the right side, the corner, insert the needle through both panels, the top 2 strands of the chains, pull it through. Now I like to take, if you've got the tail from the other panel, tie the two tails together. That secures it much better. And tighten it a little bit. And then use a whip stitch going under the two strands of the chains on both panels. And just go all the way across. And you will do the same method to put the back panel and the front panels together. Okay, so just keep going across with that. Now we'll attach the back panel and the front panel. Again, right sides touching each other. And the front panel was 2 rows shorter than the back panel. So when you put these together, take that into account. So we'll start matching it up from the bottom and situated so that you are going to sew starting right about on the 3rd row of the back panel. Okay, so you're going to use the same method as you did when you attached the flap. I'm just going to use your whip stitch. So you will be attaching along that edge around the bottom and back around the other edge. When you get to the end, just tie it off. And then we'll come back, attach the tassels, insert the pillow, and we're almost... Okay, now let's make some tassels. And the way I've got this on the pillow, I have situated them 5 on each side so that you're entering them, you're attaching them evenly spaced, about every 4 inches or so. So for this particular project, I'm using lengths of yarn about 4 inches long or so, 4.5. Just take any object. This is just an old little phone book. And wrap the yarn around 10 times if you want tassels the same size as I've got on the pillow. Wrap it around 10 times, then cut it off at the bottom. Then take another length of yarn, slip it under the yarn on the book, slide it up to the top, and then you're going to tie it real tight, nice and tight. Do 2 knots at least. Then you will slip it off the book. Then turn it upside down, cut the loops. Now you're going to take another length of yarn, a little bit longer than the yarn on the tassel. Now you're going to make that little piece of it on the top. So tie it, decide how far down you want it. Just make sure that they're all about the same spacing. Okay, again, tighten it nice and tight without breaking the yarn. Okay, now go ahead and cut those extra strands, extra length. Now we're going to attach it to the pillow. Okay, so take your hook, make sure you've got the placement where you want it. Just grab the yarn from the top, underneath, and just move the tassel out of the way. Take the 2 strands, tie them nice and tight. Okay, and that's it. So what you will do with these stragglers here, I would bring it through a strand of yarn underneath. This is basically you're weaving it in a little bit. I take 1 strand and then I tie that. Again, super tight without breaking the yarn, and then cut that off. All right, then the next thing to do is just to trim the bottom with your sharp scissors so that they're all about the same length.